This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
I'm pretty convinced that nobody else is talking about the stuff that we're talking about, but it's so important, and so many people are dealing with these challenges, relationship challenges. She is a life coach that helps people that have been in relationships that totally didn't support, call them potentially abusive, narcissists, and more. She's written some great books, The Silent Abuse, Reclaiming Your Life. She helps move your life forward, helps you realize certain things. Today, we're going to talk about stalking. Yeah, real thing, real challenge for many. You might not even know it's happening to you. Learned a lot about what people go through in talking with her. Sherry Canino, our professional of the year, is back with us. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Steve. How are you?
Wondering how this is, where we're going to go with this in terms of the stalking thing. You've mentioned love bombing before. Would that come under the category of stalking?
No,
Okay.
no. So I thought it would be a great topic for today since it's currently happening to me with my narcissistic ex. And I would, even though most people say, oh, my narcissist didn't hoover me, didn't stalk me, it's not a criteria in the DSM for being a narcissist, but being with two diagnosed ones, in my opinion, it should be a criteria because I believe they don't ever go away. I have several clients that have been like, it's been 20 years, and they'll still try to look me up on social media. You know, if they're in a local vicinity, they'll try to see where you are, maybe show up at the same place that you are. For me, it's always social media. With my most recent ex, they create fake accounts, but when they want you to know that they're watching, it's a very entitled thing to do. They come up with a new account in their name. And they'll watch your stories because, on Instagram, you can see who's watching.
I would have to believe that they're doing that because they're obsessed with control, and now you're out of their control. You've moved on, or attempting to, and it's almost as if fish out of water. I need to get back into water, and that's my controlling somebody is my water. How do I do that? Let me see what she's doing, how I can get into get into her world, connect with her again.
Well, they really truly believe that once they're in any type of intimate relationship with you, that they own you. So it doesn't matter that you're not together anymore. In their eyes, they own you because they have created this snapshot, and you're in their head, right? You're never on the exterior. They do not do external. They don't comprehend that. Everything is really in their head. So, but in order to keep that internal going, they need some sort of contact, like they need supply. They need the validation. I mean, I always say to people, if you really want to get back at a narcissist, render them insignificant in your life. They hate being blocked. So when I hear, now the women are a little different. The women will block, unblock, but the men, no. The only way they might do that is if they really found a really good new supply. But even still, like when I am the good supply, and I'm not being cocky about that. Like, I had all the things that a narcissist would want, like top tier of what they would want. So, um, they just, they don't go away because they want to keep that in their back pocket, right? They want to, and even though I would have met all the S's, right? So I would have met the, you know, Professor Sam Vacted says if you meet two of the four S's with a narcissist, you're in. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what you look like unless they care about that, right? So it's supply, secondary supply, sex, and services. And services could be financial, could be,
Making them dinner.
yeah, whatever you bring to the table that they want to have. Some of them want to have a wife, so they look like they're upstanding citizen, depending on what they do in life or whatever.
What was
So
secondary supply? You mentioned that.
so secondary supply would be like if you're very popular, or like the stuff that that I do when you're in the limelight, right? And let's say you go out. So like we would go out to like bars or restaurants or wherever, and people would know me. So they're like, "Oh, Sherry, blah blah, whatever." Well, he's getting supply from that, right? So if he didn't get supply from that, he would be like, "Oh, she wrote books. Let me, you know." And so then he's getting, in his mind, the attention because he's bringing the attention to me. So the
Or you're
secondary
bringing the
supply.
attention to him, even though,
Right. But when I go out, I don't like advertise like, first of all, I live in South Dakota, so very small. So once people know you, like a lot of people know me around here already. And believe it or not, I'm pretty shy. And when I go out, I don't really want that. I don't, it tends to happen indirectly, but you know, I don't try to draw attention to myself, but he would. And that was like super I mean, this even before books and stuff like that, but it just super, super annoying to me.
what
But yeah,
about
so
him? Like, okay, so you go out, people see you, they connect with you. Um, he's not getting attention. You are. Isn't that a problem for a narcissist, or would they feed off of the attention that you're getting?
so some of it they feed off of the attention. If it gets to a point where they're not getting enough, they're going to start acting up like an adult child. So sometimes, um, back whatever, a couple years ago when we were together, um, we were in Florida. I became really good friends with like a bunch. So I had a favorite seafood restaurant. And I used to frequent it. I mean, that was like my go-to place. And I became really good friends with a bunch of the servers there. And so they really got to know me. And we were going together, but when people treat me good, I'm a really great tipper. Um, and so, they would want my table, right? And I don't do that on purpose. It's just like if people are back in the day, I used to be a bartender and, I did work in service industry. So I know what it's like to like be really good to people and then just get nothing. So as people treat me really well,
You
I'm a good tipper
appreciate it.
anyway. Yes. So I like, because I can, I like to, give back. And so we would go in the busy season, in the winter time and not have a reservation because I'm kind of like, hey, make it a reservation. I don't know when I'm going to be hungry. And I knew the manager and they would get me a table. So, um, that would be huge secondary supply. Like he thought he was like, oh, we're like bypassing all these people and whatever. And so yeah, if he didn't get enough attention, so a lot of times my girlfriend would be our server and she didn't like him. Clear, clearly. And so he wouldn't get enough attention. And so he would try to like either he would pick a fight with me and then we'd end up leaving or, all the red flags. But yeah, so that's secondary supply.
Wow. Um, Stalking. Um, is it just social media? What are some other things that maybe you've experienced?
So for me, I used to get like the drive-bys, but I don't anymore because I have a no trespass order. So he can't. But it's not uncommon for them to show up at like I've had clients, they show up at their work. Um,
Hmm.
I always tell everybody block them and everything. They will actually on different like cash apps, they'll send them $1 and like say something to them. Oh, they go
Ew.
to extremes.
Ew.
Yep,
And
to
guess what?
contact.
What's going to get your
Email.
what's going to get your attention? Getting pinged by Venmo. You have, payment. Oh, right. What's that? Click. Oh, $1 from a jerk.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Their favorite social media though, because they're always on social media, because they're always looking. They're
Mm,
always looking. And and they want to know what you're doing. They, that fear of exposure. So they don't want anybody to tell their story. They don't want anybody to tell everybody what kind of person they were. So they want to watch and make sure that you're not saying anything.
mm,
They don't want to see you doing well without them because, you know, they especially if you were the one that left them first, but even if you weren't, it doesn't matter if they discarded you. Like they don't want to see that the minute that they see, oh, she's doing okay, like she's getting by, like, oh, she's glowing up and let me come back. you know.
Should you, when you're in that situation, should you even say something to them? Let's say they're following you on social, they're throwing, a DM back to you. Should you say, we've already had this conversation. I've asked you to stay out of my life. If you continue, this is the repercussion, be it report them or whatever, or just block, block, block.
Anytime you speak to them, that's supply.
That's supply. That's why I asked that question. Okay.
So, you know, obviously my social media is my business, but I have a lot of really good friends on there too, right? So, friends that I've had for, you know, 14 years when I had my art business and they're just so they're following me on this account now and just a lot of really good friends. So and some from other countries. So that's the way that we communicate because you can't text. I mean, you could do WhatsApp, but we just like we don't. So I refuse to make my account private. I'm just not. I'm not going to have somebody try to scare me, by like following and watching my stories and this and that. So typically I just block and block and block. They're so in their head. I get busy. I don't sit and watch who's watching me on social media, you know. I just, you might
Yep.
every like few days you might look. So one thing that they can do is they you have them blocked, they delete their account and they recreate it. And that takes the block off of on Instagram. I'm an Instagram girl. I'm older. I do TikTok. It's my bigger account. But where I actually hang out is Instagram.
Hmm.
So, and he knows that. So, he went so far as to use an older account that he had that had an old picture of us when we were together and started watching my stories through that. And they will take even like, so if you wait a couple of days and don't reblock them, they take it as, oh, she wants me back in her life. They're very, very delusional. Best to have no engagement. Um, because two things. They may or may not engage. He's more of a silent treatment kind of guy, so that's fine with me. Like, stay silent. You weren't silent when we were together. Just run your mouth. so, so it's good. Stay silent. Um, but it's it's the arrogance and the entitlement of, oh, I can watch you. And he's told me many times in the past, oh, I have tons of fake accounts I watch you on. So it's irrelevant to me. It's irrelevant. You're gonna watch me anyways. Like,
And you said the word entitlement, and that comes very clear for me. Like, I just got this picture of somebody that you were connected to. You were a couple at one point. Now you're not. But in their mind, yes, you are.
they own you.
Yes, I'm entitled to connect with you. I'm entitled to get in your head. We were connected physically, mentally, emotionally. No, you're mine.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm seeing that now. It didn't come clear until
He was friends with all of his exes. And I'm talking exes of like 20 plus years ago. His ex-wife, ex-girlfriends.
I have to believe he was a narcissist to them too.
Oh, well, they don't change, and he got diagnosed. So yeah. So what I would say when people are like, oh well, this guy didn't stalk me, he didn't come back, he didn't watch any of my stuff. I mean, either you really didn't have a whole lot he wanted from you, which is like, I would be like, good. Thank you. Um, or the guy really wasn't a narcissist, wouldn't have been a diagnosed. There's a lot of toxic people out there that are high in narcissistic traits. They wouldn't meet the criteria. It's not a criteria that they come back or that they stalk you. But in my mind, if they're diagnosed, they're going to. If they could really be diagnosed, and again, this is not part of the criteria. Don't everybody come yelling at me when this posted on YouTube and everybody's like, that's not, I know it. I get it. I know it. But even my son's biological father, 30 plus years later, he doesn't know my last name. So he doesn't really know how to find me because I was married. So I have a different last name than when I was with him. But 2 years ago, he showed up at my son's house, and it's not for him because it's never been his life. And narcissists do not care about their children when they get older. They don't care about their children anyways, only the supply that they can give them. And my son's never given him any supply. He's always been like, get out, be in your life. You're not my life. Go away. So you're not showing up to try to get in his life. You're showing up to try to find out where I am. And it's always been that. So it's not a criteria, but it's definitely part of their entitlement. And they believe that they own you. So it doesn't matter if you were the first person they were ever with 40 years ago, they still believe you belong to them. And they have rights to you. So my ex said to me one time, I said, why don't you just leave? Why don't you we're not worry about your kid? Like, you don't want your kids in your life. You don't want to be bothered with them. Like, why do you try to follow them on social media? I made them. They belong to me.
It's crazy.
They're adults. They're in their 20s. I think one's even 30, but like,
Now,
very messed up.
you talk about the diagnosis, And in your current situation, just pick any, let's go there, most recent. When did that diagnosis come and how did it happen? Was this before you guys met? What I don't think you'd be with him if you knew.
I could have diagnosed him, but but so after he had me arrested and he had started going to therapy. So a lot of times when they suddenly lose their main supply, they get extremely anxious, like over the top anxious, because they don't have anybody telling them who they are. They don't have that supply, the external. And I'll say they go crazy, but a little bit. I mean, in very loose terms, they struggle to survive. They need that. They need that constant attention, validation. So that's how it ended up coming about. And, he was like, well, thought you should know that I got diagnosed. You were right. It was just another attempt to come back in my life.
That sounds like the pity. It's the triple P, pity party ploy. You were right, I'm here. Help me through this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, can I diagnose other people's, significance others? Not really. I mean, just like any other therapist, and most of them aren't going to go to therapy. That's when they go to therapy, is when they're like really down and out. And I think he also thought like, well, this'll show her I'm trying.
Yes. Yes. So, let's give it another try. I'm working on me.
Yeah.
Wow. The final question, we mentioned love bombing before. Would that lead to stalking? Like, let's say somebody love bombs you, sends you flowers. This is for you. I got you. This, that. You don't respond to it. They could start stalking you at that point, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, but if you're not going to respond to it, that's what they want. If they're not getting any reaction, that's why we say no contact. Don't contact them. Don't respond to what they're doing. Like if you don't want them, they're not going to keep trying. They're going to do the initial love bomb. It's usually not going to be hardcore. They're going to do a little bit. They're going to throw a little bit out and see how you react to it. And if they don't get the reaction that they want, they're going to move on.
Yep. Or maybe change their approach, but still keep tabs on you because you're theirs. So to speak.
Oh, if you've already been theirs, yes. I thought you meant in the very initial stages. Like they're usually a pretty good. They can really
read their subjects.
Yeah.
So insightful. Really appreciate it. How do we connect with you, Sherry, if somebody's going through some challenges like this with challenging relationship? We'll just put it that way. And also your books. Is that also on your website?
Yes, but my books are right on Amazon, so they can find them on Amazon. I mean, all my social media has links to them. But my website is SoulfullyWild.com.
Thank you for today.
Thanks, Steve.
Sharing information and a subject that you don't hear a lot of people talking about, but it's real. And oh my gosh, it can really impact your life in a major way. And I appreciate that. And looking forward next time we get together.
All right. Sounds good, Steve.
Thanks,
Thank
Sherry.
you.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.